Hello and welcome everybody. This is Jeff Schechter, aka Shecky at the High Return Real Estate Show. And I am here with my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jack Gibson. How are you, Jack?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm so excited for this episode because today we are going to learn what's possible. So if you are an investor that is sitting on 0, 1, 2, 3, 7, or 8 single family or duplex type properties, and you are looking to see how to build wealth, how to do what's possible, how to leverage those humble beginnings into something bigger. I'm talking much bigger, much bigger. This is an episode about hope. This is an episode about what's possible. This is an episode about how to completely change your reality of what you think you can do with the amazing guest that we have on, which we're going to bring on in just a minute. So stay tuned. This is going to be an amazing episode.
Welcome to the High Return Real Estate Show, the podcast for heavy hitters. 2 men, 1 mission. It's time to build your empire.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Shecky at the High Return Real Estate Show, the show for heavy hitters. And man, oh man, do we have a heavy hitter on today. I want to introduce to you a man by the name of Mr. Alan Schnur. God, I hope I said that correctly.
You absolutely did.
And Alan is a guy who not only is he an accomplished mountaineer and has the time to climb the 7 highest peaks in the world, which is a whole other story we're getting into, but this guy started just like we all did, with 1 or 2 little properties and leveraged that into a few more. And when you start listening to some of the stuff that he is doing now, your mind's just going to be blown. Anyway, Alan, welcome. We're really happy to have you.
Guys, Jack, Shaggy, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to spend some time with you and share the message, share the real estate, get people motivated, and help people make a lot of money so they can help their families, friends, and charities.
Yeah, awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about your humble beginnings, because
Sure.
I kind of set that up for you. And how did you originally get started? Why did you get started? What were you doing?
So, gentlemen, I never thought I was going to be in the real estate business. I got thrown into it. And unfortunately, my starts off with a tragedy. And I know a lot of us go through tragedy, and all I can say is sometimes in life, you got to take it one day at a time and make some changes, and some changes I did make. And part of the story is on September 10th, 2001, I'm a New Yorker, if you can hear it in my voice. I was working in the World Trade Center, and I had the opportunity to take a business trip. And unfortunately, I was the only one that really left out of a group of 40 people. So I found myself in the middle of the day, September 10th, jumping on an elevator, headed down 2 banks to Newark Airport. And what can I say? 12 hours later, I was in Portland. I woke up to some events that changed all our lives. I mean, it was such an emotional day. And sometimes you mix all this emotion with information, and you never forget where you were on September 10th, 9/11, 2001. And it changed everything for me. I worked on the 101st floor of the World Trade Center, the North Tower. I worked for a company by the name of Cantor Fitzgerald. We had 1,000 employees on the top 5 floors. And what can I say? We lost 700 of them. And I lost my whole entire division. There was 44 people in my division, so there were 4 survivors. And I spent a week by myself. I was in Portland in this hotel room, going through all this survivor guilt. What am I going to do next? Do I have a job? Why am I not better at things? Certainly, really questioning life and going through all my values and how I was going to make some changes. And I had a meeting with myself that lasted for 7 days, and did everything I could do to help. Always so thankful for all those first responders and people that ran in, but here we are. I had to leave the East Coast, and I transferred the company here to Houston, Texas. They gave it their best shot, didn't work out. I found myself out of a job, on unemployment, and that's how I got involved with real estate. So I was able to, read those purple books, the Robert Kiyosaki books, go to the RIA clubs, buy everything I could on late night television. And you know what, guys, that stuff worked. It really worked. I finally got enough confidence, courage, met some hard money lenders, and I did it. And I know a lot of people that are listening right now are sometimes afraid to buy that first house. But man, if you could just buy that first house, get your feet wet, really have a good plan your work your plan, get out there, fix it, fill it. If you want to be in the rental business, rent it out, because that's what I did. I bought something for $23,000 in Alvin, Texas, and I fixed it for $7,000. I'm in it for $30,000. It appraises for $75,000. Started playing that banker game where you can pull all that money out, be in it for nothing. And you know what, guys? I did that once a month for 10 years straight. Then I had like 120 and 150 rental houses in certain specific areas here in Texas. And what can I say next? Decade goes by. I got those numbers up a little higher. 2010, we had that financial crisis happening here in the United States. The housing market didn't really hurt me because I was buying stuff for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a house anyway. But the apartment business, the multifamily house business, started to get hit really hard. So what I did was I got a little more sophisticated. I got a little more courage. I looked at my past experiences. I took a good look at myself to see what was working, what wasn't working, where was I making money, where to buy properties, who do I really want to be renting to. And I bought my first multifamily house project. And it's true what they really say, there is economy of scales here. Instead of having 34 houses, 34 roofs, you have maybe a 34 unit building and one roof. So, you starts making sense, dollars and cents. And what I did was I made a shift in my life, and I call it the evolution of a real estate investor. And I'm sure over the next half an hour, we're going to talk more about different asset classes, because that's kind of the message I want to share today. The message of, if you would just start and take action, help out people around you, build your housing portfolio, maybe also build a flipping house machine, save money for down payments, buy an apartment building, learn how to syndicate, learn how to partner up. And then from there, you can take it as far as you want. Because what I did after I had the first 150 houses, every 90 days for 5 years straight, I bought an apartment complex. And then I ran that number up to around 2,000 apartment units. And from there, what can I say? So that was another 5 years. So from like 2009, 2010 to 13, 14, 15, I bought 18 apartment complexes. And I actually kept buying the houses because I built out my teams. So I had 400 houses, 2,000 apartment units. And it sounds like a lot of money, and it sounds like maybe it's unattainable and unreachable for people that are listening right now. That is definitely not the case. If you were looking, I hope you're looking at me. I'm just a normal, I'm a mensch. I'm just a normal person, a good guy. I graduated probably last in my high school class, and I did go to college, but it took me 8 years to get out of that one. And so I woke up one day and I said, you know what? It's not as much money. I wasn't cash flowing as much as I thought I could be. I was working really hard, and I was getting I wanted to move on to the next thing in my life. So I decided to sell it all. So I sold most of the houses, like 95% of the houses. I actually just sold like 6 months ago, the last apartment building. And I decided to say to myself, okay, what's next? Looked around to see where else people are making money in real estate, read some more books, listened to some more podcasts, got on YouTube. And to me, warehousing, storage, and shopping centers really kind of looked like the next opportunity for me. I wanted something a little more hands-off. I was getting a little tired of the carpet, tile, paint, find a tenant model. And I wanted to get more of maybe a bigger name, more credibility, not personally, but my tenants. And I wanted those leases to maybe not just be 6 or 12 months anymore. I wanted them to be 5 to 10 years. And you find that stuff in the commercial real estate that we're about to start talking about. So I unloaded a lot of the housing. I turned out, I bought around $50 million of rundown apartment buildings, fixed everything, filled everything, sold them for around 80 million, took my portion and said goodbye to my partners. And took a little time off and reinvented myself. And I reinvented myself into more of a triple net leasing business, which we can start talking about in a second or two. But I'm thinking maybe I should slow down a little and let the New Yorker on coffee take a break and let you drive.
Yeah, I want to segue into that, but one of the things I'm curious about is backing up to when you've got, 100, 200 houses, who's managing all those tenants?
Right. So what I did was, I was a commodity broker, and that's why I was in New York City. And when I found myself out of a job and Cantor closed down the desks that we were working at, I had the opportunity to go open up my own firm, which was really going to Radio Shack, buying 2 phones, 18 lines, and setting up in my home office and calling some of the customers that I had from the prior past. And at the same time, I was able to buy Fannie Mae or Freddie. Someone had some kind of online system where you can place bids to buy houses on a Sunday night. And Monday morning, you would just get an email saying you own it or you don't own it. And to answer your question, I ran everything. I ran everything from my desk. I got to a point where I said, okay, if I'm buying houses for $30,000, $40,000 a piece, I know the land is worth $10,000 or $15,000. Call it a 2,000 square foot house. I don't know. I'm not doing the math, but it was cheap. It was like $10, $20, $30 a foot. So I felt like I couldn't get hurt. So I could start depending more on Google and maps and satellite imagery. So I built a team. All right. I did have, like, at the time, if you remember back in the day, Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Work Week, and
Sure.
He was always kind of writing about go get yourself a VA, a virtual assistant. And I did. I actually found someone who lived in London who actually made me look a lot smarter than I am, because she had a sleeping problem. So for sure, she's not sleeping when we're sleeping here in the United States because of the time difference. And she hardly slept anyway. So she worked like 18 hours a day. And the other 6 hours I had covered because it was daylight here. So it looked like I had a 24-hour operation. It was just me and someone from London running houses in the middle of nowhere in Texas.
Was your team also involved in managing the tenants as well and collecting rents and doing all that?
I used P.O. boxes. I did hire, when the portfolio grew, I hired a property manager and I hired 2 maintenance guys. So we're a team of 3. Now, again, This is all a hobby for me. I think one nugget I can leave people with today: find a hobby that makes you money. You're almost guaranteed success, because that means you love it if it's your hobby.
Yeah.
It's a hobby. I think for all 3 of us here, it's just a hobby. I don't even really consider it work. This is work. Right? So, one guy had a truck. The other guy worked for the guy with the truck. And I had someone out there knocking on doors, renting out places for me, used a P.O. box, had some strict rules. And I always believed in not over asking for rent, in the sense that if the rental rate was $900, I was going to be $850 or $800. So I always wanted to stay full. I don't like vacancy. So I was, you always have to kind of nip vacancy in the butt, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, understood. So obviously that you get to a point where you've got quite a bit of scale,
right?
And then that hobby is no longer a hobby. And I'm guessing that was probably some of the impetus for you to say, okay, I want to reinvent myself.
Right. So what happened was I had the opportunity to buy my first apartment building. Great deal, owner financed. I brought very little money to the table. Next thing I know, I control a $2 million asset. And it so happened this particular asset was smack dead center, right in the middle of my housing portfolio. So my leasing office for the apartment building became the leasing office for all the houses too.
Nice.
So I was able to marry that all together with
Yeah,
the same employee.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I recommend somebody who's interested in transitioning from their houses to apartment buildings, clearly see if you can do it in an area that you're comfortable in where your houses are and run it all out of the leasing office. Now you have an office. And
So,
people who rent houses love to know where they can go, even in this day and age, to drop off a check.
what do you think is so successful about the strategy of starting off with single family homes and then moving into, apartments, and then you're taking on bigger, commercial projects? It seems that way from the talk that I have with sophisticated investors who have scaled up some really big portfolios. That's typically how they all kind of got started, is started off with some singles and, maybe some doubles, and then build up that portfolio, right? Got that really nicely cash flowing, and then kind of parlayed. What do you see? Is it like the singles just provide a nice fundamental, or what was your?
You know what it is, Jack? Yes,
strategy?
on that point, fundamental.
Yeah.
It's experience. It could be anything. I mean, in a sense that, sure, let's step away from buying houses. But if you can develop, what do you develop when you buy your first house? Just think about it. You are developing, you're putting yourself out there, you're starting a business, you have finances, you have to answer to a bank, you have to answer to the tenants. So you're developing a thick skin.
Sure.
So I don't care where that thick skin comes from. Sure, I'd rather have it in the business that we're all in. It could be houses. But somebody who wants to transition into real estate and feels like they have to start with houses, they don't. As long as they have fundamentals in knowing how to run a business and what to expect, as long as they know how to handle when the rent doesn't come in on time, as long as they know how to handle, a phone call that might upset them. So as long as they have experience, they've been in some kind of trench, necessarily they can start off buying apartment buildings. They can.
Sure.
But look, sometimes you got to go. I have another philosophy, and I got this in the commodity markets. Picture this, okay? You're on a floor, a commodity trading floor back in the day. Maybe you have a gold pit, a silver pit, an oil pit, a coffee pit, pork pit. And then let's just say there's a worldly event, like oil here just went from like $85 a barrel down to $50 a barrel. And you can imagine all the excitement. I mean, commodity just moves 50%. So now you have like a few thousand people staring at the oil pits. Some of them work in those pits, others work around those pits, and they're kind of like, oh boy, this is so boring. I wish I was in the oil business. I'm in the coffee business. Nobody cares about it. So I believe in, productivity doesn't always equal activity. So you want to be active. You want to stay active. And the reason why I just gave you that example is housing's really hot right now. It's really hot. It's going against every trend. It should have come off a few years ago. How many people raised money that couldn't buy, they raised money for the sole purpose of buying a dip. Well, they returned all that money. So what I'm saying is housing's a great opportunity for everybody. And when the wind's in your sail, why not just let the sail boat keep going? But sometimes the wind's not in your sails. Like if oil stopped trading, maybe the people in the oil pit want to jump into the gold pit because there's an election coming up and gold's moving like crazy. So let me give you another analogy then. So let's just say multifamily is hot right now, but we're seeing some tough levels. We're seeing Class C trade at $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a unit, at least here in Houston. And what that really means is the prices have doubled and tripled on the assets themselves, but the rents have not doubled or tripled. So we're a little concerned about that, but yet prices keep going up. So sometimes when you can't explain why prices keep going up, there's less liquidity, there's less trading. So what are you going to do if you're in the multifamily house business and you're making a living syndicating multifamily? Well, then go look at the next pit. Go look at the next asset class. Maybe it's warehouses. Maybe it's storage. Maybe it's, I'm building spec houses here in Houston. Maybe it's shopping centers. So I always believe in keeping busy. So if it's houses, apartments, warehouses, storage, shopping centers, stay busy. make money, please.
I think of it too as, like when I started learning how to play poker, I, played in the dorms for quarters, right? And, you'd swing, $20 back then.
Right.
It was like, that hurt. And now, I'm playing for thousands, but I started off playing for quarters, building up the resiliency. And like you said, the thick skin so I could handle both the wins and the losses.
Right.
And I think for a lot of people, investor wise, they don't have the stomach to maybe jump into a bigger asset like apartment complex or commercial space. They need to emotionally, kind of exercise that muscle first of smaller asset classes that, maybe aren't also take a higher level of expertise too.
So I agree with you. Their emotions. I love the gambling analogy you just made. You go from $20 to $1,000 a pot.
Yeah.
If you could do it all over again, would you bet the $20 pot or go right to the $1,000 table?
Like knowing what I know now?
Yeah.
Well, if I had the same level of expertise, I would have skipped it.
Jackie, help me out here.
Yeah, I think that
I didn't have the capital to play the $1,000 pot, and I didn't have the knowledge to play it.
I hear you, and it is so important. So let's back up. Of course, knowledge is key. All right,
Yeah.
Everyone, you have to get the knowledge. But look, buy a house, get a title company, get a lawyer, buy it 50 cents on the dollar. Start somewhere, but you don't have. I spent 10 years only buying single family houses. I should have moved quicker. So I have my regrets. So, I have a formula. Go buy 1, then go buy 2, go buy 4, and then maybe go buy 8. And when you get to a level where, it's kind of like being in the gym, right? If you worked out with the same weight all the time, immediately, you're not going to get any bigger or any stronger. You're going to maintain, and you're probably going to wear yourself down.
Sure.
I think the other word that comes to mind with all this is confidence. Even we notice it, like being in the turnkey business, investors that are buying from us are not really wanting to get their hands dirty, and they don't want to deal with management and title companies and lawyers and all that other stuff. So that's the business we're in, is done for you. But even with that, there is a level of fear, I think, with those first properties or two, that they just have got to get over the hump. And, there's no question we help with that to an extent by being very transparent in what we do and, putting out a really great product. But even with all that, it's still a hurdle that has to be overcome. And doing those first 1 or 2 deals is huge, because it creates that confidence to say, hey, I can do this.
Right.
And so that said, I want to go take that, really explain now, like what's the kind of stuff you're working on now? And it's just on a so much grander level than even 400 single families. It's and even selling off the apartments and all that. So teach us a little bit about the stuff you're working on now. And,
Sure.
and more importantly, why are you working on that kind of stuff?
Confidence and fear. It's interesting. It's if something's fearful to me, then I kind of feel like that's opportunity knocking on the door. And if I don't overcome that fear, it's gonna suffocate me.
There's 500 personal development books right there in sentences. Yeah,
right. I read all 499 of them.
That's great. Yeah.
So, listen, one thing I really love about real estate, and all real estate, is it's measurable. We really can measure our success, and it comes down to dollar and cents. For some people, it's houses. For multifamily people, it's units, maybe. And right now, I'm in the square footage world. And let me explain. I'm really excited about shopping centers. And I know that probably must scare the people. I can just tell you that I've been doing this for around 20 years now. And it's absolutely the best opportunity for the return out there in real estate when it comes to all the asset classes. Right now, we're seeing around maybe 5 to 7% return on houses. Depends on how you look at it. And then multifamily, we're definitely looking at, I'm doing stuff in LA at 3-4 cap deals, 3 to 4% returns. And here in Houston, you're a little higher, 5-6% returns in multifamily. But when it comes to these shopping centers that I'm buying, I can buy like a 9-10% or a cap rate return. And let me explain. And let me explain how I got involved and how I started measuring things to make myself go bigger. I started off buying 10,000 square foot shopping centers. Actually, let's call it 12,000 square feet. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say in 12,000 square feet, you can make 6 storefronts, 2,000 square feet apiece. And it's a true story. I did it in Boise, Idaho. It's in one of my books. And you buy 3 vacant and three you have tenants and 3 of them. So you're really 50% vacant, which really means you should be buying this asset 50 cents on the dollar. And you are, because it really trades on net operating income. So in this example, I buy $1 million shopping center in Boise, Idaho. I have 3 tenants, call it $333,000 a unit. All right, 3 units, $1 million. I put my $300,000 down, I get a 70% loan. What do I got to do? I got to go fill up the other 3 slots. How do I do that? I go find the best damn leasing brokers there are out there, and it's the same names. It's Marcus and Millichap, it's Colliers, and then you can go on CoStar, which is a very popular program, and you can find the best leasing brokers too. All I have to do is fill 3 spots to take that $1 million asset and turn it into $2 million asset. And that's exactly what I did within 12 months. And I did very little. I'm in Houston. I don't really go to Boise, Idaho. And I hired a good leasing agent. And we went out and we got a Taco Del Mar. We got an AT&T vendor. And we got a hearing aid company. My 12,000 square feet is full. And we sold that for $2.3 million. And you know, the partnership made over $1 million on that deal. Start off small. What I just said might sound like a mouthful, but all we did was find 3 tenants. And I went out and I did it probably 18 more times, but I kept growing. I went from 10,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet, and I'm measuring myself and I'm pushing myself. It's kind of like if you bought a 160 unit apartment building, you're probably not going to go buy a 34 unit deal down the block because you're more familiar and used to the higher numbers. You know, when it comes to real estate, I think we can all agree right now. You both have more hair than me, but I think we can all agree right now that the bigger the deal, usually, the more dollars, you know, the more income is coming in, the more we can afford to pay for help. And I think that's important as we get older. You know, you got to look at deals that can afford to pay other people to help you run your deals to free up your time, which we'll get to in a few seconds, what to do with that free time. But back to, so I bought around 18 of those 5, 10, 15, 20,000 square foot shopping centers, got really comfortable, learned the lingo, read the books, went to the seminars, and now I don't buy anything less than 100,000 square feet, 150,000 square feet. And I like my tenants. I mean, I run 125 tenants that you know most of the names, they trade publicly. You don't have to feel like these are the names that are, you know, going out of business. I mean, these are names like TJ Maxx, Ross, Starbucks, Subway, Quiznos, Burger King, Wingstop. I have doctors, I have optometrists, I have ER clinics. You know, you hear all these stories about how bad the retail really is, but like we were talking about right before we started, any given day, you're going to probably stop off at 1 to 4 different shopping centers, pick up your dry cleaning, maybe check your eyeglasses. I have major anchors with grocery stores, 30, 40,000 square foot grocery stores. I'm working on a 125,000 square foot deal right now in Gilbert, Arizona, smack dab right in the middle of Progress, buying it super cheap. Another good thing about this retail business, it's kind of like, I don't know how it turned out to be like this when it comes to triple net leasing, but it's kind of like an old man's game. I think because when we talk about the evolution of real estate, we figure this out towards the end of our life, right, that it's really an easier way to go. So if you can dig back into your 500 books we were just talking about, and you can think about Stephen Covey perhaps. And Stephen, one of his 7 rules was work your plan, or just figure out what you really want and work it backwards. I forget the actual rule itself. So I see that now. I have Fortune 500 tenants that They don't call me. They take care of the whole entire building themselves. And that's the type of real estate that you can progressively evolve into if you're starting with houses, if you're starting with multifamily, if you're a lender. As long as you have thick skin and you're organized and you're educated, you can start basically anywhere you want on the spectrum. All right, let's take that apart. That was a lot.
So you're doing mostly outdoor shopping centers. You're not buying any like indoor shopping malls.
Great question, Jack. So what we buy here, Great Partners is the name of my firm. We buy, what we really like is like a car count where there's like 50 to 100,000 cars going by the center every day. We like signalized lighting where people just have to stop. We like hard corners in communities. You know what I'm talking about. You see them all the time. You stop at them all the time and you say, boy, I wish I owned this land. You can. So we like those type of spots. We like high density where there's a lot of people living. We like household incomes to be between $50,000 and $80,000 a house. And everything I'm saying to you is very easily attainable. Matter of fact, the broker that you work with that's going to get you into these deals will have all these facts and figures ready to go. And then you're going to just figure out what ticks your box. Your box. Okay, Alan said 50,000 cars. He likes the Latino demographic. He likes to be in Class C, Class B shopping centers. Really the same analogy carried over from the houses to the apartments. You know, you can't build Class B shopping centers anymore, and you definitely can't build Class C. And now what we're seeing in 2020, what's really happening to a good portion of our Class C properties across the spectrum, they're being torn down, right? And they're being replaced with new apartment buildings, mixed use projects, and people are just, the land's more valuable. So there's a better use for it. So, which brings up a really good point. When you're buying these Class B and C shopping centers, there's particular companies that have to be in that demographic, that have to be paying that cheap rent. You know, I'll bring the analogy back to multifamily. Here in Houston, brand new Class A goes for around $2, $2.50 a square foot. So just 1,000 square foot apartment is going to cost someone $2,500 a month. Mm-hmm. Well, the Class C and the Class B, we know it's going to be probably $1 a foot, right? So 1,000 square feet is going to be $1,000. So the guy who pays $1,000 can't afford to pay $2,500. Let's take that analogy and carry it over to the shopping center business. Same thing. I have Latino grocers. They have to pay like 50 cents to $1 a square foot, or the business model doesn't make sense. And even if it did make sense for them because they're doing so well, they're trapped. They're demographically trapped because the people that are shopping at those shopping centers, they're not driving to the Class A construction across town. So I find that with TJ Maxx too. I find that with Subways and Burger Kings. You know, there's new construction, and there's ever go to Starbucks and you say to yourself, gee, I think I paid more for that cup of coffee, you know, in New York City than I do in Michigan. Or I spent a lot of time in Japan. I can tell you a cup of coffee in Japan costs $5 to $8 at a Starbucks. And that's really because of the rental rates.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So pretty excited about the opportunity. I always like to buy low, sell high. I'm a contrarian. You know, Warren Buffett, you know, build a moat around everything that you have and protect it. Look for the opportunity. You know, when people are fearful, start buying, and when they're greedy, start selling. I always believe, yeah.
So is your mentality, like who you are as a core investor, are you a buy and hold long term, or are you more of a flipper mentality? Like,
yeah, I really.
Who are you internally? Right?
What are you, Jack?
I don't know. You know, that's great. I mean, our high return real estate is a flipping company, right?
Right.
But the purpose that for I think for both of us, really, the ultimate goal was to use the flip money from this business to buy more long-term holds, right? So I think we're both, but like, who am I to the core? I don't know. I like the action of flipping, right? I like making deals. So that part is exciting. And the, you know, I just love the action, right?
Right.
I'd probably just get bored if it were just
admit it, Jack.
Wait for 20 years.
You're a deal junkie.
Yeah, of course.
I can attest. By the way, I can attest to that as his business partner for sure.
You junkie.
You're a junkie.
Is there a better description than deal junkie like that? We could go with.
I have an interesting question for you too, because it speaks exactly to this. You said something about the B and C class stuff oftentimes needing to be repurposed. You know, things change, things evolve. So are you finding that even though you're in a deal and it's working well and you're triple net and you're cash flowing nicely and all that, and then a year, 2, 3, 5 down the road, there becomes a need for this particular property to be repurposed somehow? At that point, are you flipping that property? Is that your end game, or like, because it sounds like you can kind of play both sides of the fence with this particular strategy.
You really can. And let me tell you why. When I had a few thousand apartment units, it could be scary sometimes. You know, the plumbing's breaking, you know, the galvanized plumbing's breaking underneath, or the foundation, and the tenants are ripping up the windows, and the owner has to pay for all that stuff. So sometimes you really can't afford to keep your real estate, or you factor that into your sell model. You know, when it comes to the shopping centers, take a 1970s shopping center. I just did one, and I just had a medical tenant move in for 10,000 square feet. You ever see these plasma? They're plasma companies. One's called CPL, another one is called like BPL. And look, it's not romantic, but some people sell their plasma. It has a lot of use in the medical field. They get $300 to $500 a month to be part of a program. I'm explaining to you this business model of this billion-dollar corporation. I rented 2 of them. They spent north of $2 million in my 1970s shopping center to build out their space the way it has to be built out for them to be in business. So now you're driving over to not the new part of town. You're walking into my shopping center and you feel like you're in a Class A brand new hospital that they built. They have a 10-year lease with me. They have 5-year options. And are they going anywhere? No, they're not. So to answer your question, there's not a hell of a lot of repurposing going on in the triple net leasing business because the tenants are doing most of the improvements. Now look, here's the flip side of that. Sometimes things don't work out with your tenants and you've got an empty spot and you're going to have to entice another user. We call it TI, tenant improvements. So you're going to have to entice them with TI dollars. So it's not all rosy, you know, the grass is greener on my side. But when you're in the Class B and Class C shopping center, it's like, really, how much do you really want me to spend here? You know, it's just dollar rents. I might be able to amortize something here and help you afford to build out your spot. I can maybe give you some free rents, some rent concessions, but you, Mr. Proprietor, are going to have to build out your own place to your own specifications. Go ahead.
So, question on economics, how it's going to kind of affect either residential or commercial. I mean, obviously you've gone through 20 years of investing and our economy has certainly gone up and gone down in the last 20 years. How does that going to play a role over the next decade as we see, you know, inevitably we're going to see some cyclical activity in the economy, right? How is it going to affect what you're doing in the commercial space versus, you know, your residential portfolio?
So
the economy takes a dive.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So being in the Class C and Class B shopping center business, I'm really only catering to the discounters. I mean, TJ Maxx, they do great in bad times and they do good and bad in good times.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Burger King, you know, I'm just names that are coming to my mind. So what do they have? Like $1.50 Whopper, and what do? They drop the price to 99 cents.
Right.
People have less money. So I like to think, and part of my strategy is to buy internet recessionary proof shopping centers that have already made it through the downtime. A lot of my tenants have been in the same spots for 10 or 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they have these options to renew, and the options are like, yeah, they get to renew like, you know, maybe inflationary rates or 25 cents more a square foot. So it's not like we're killing it and bringing home a bunch of new increased rental rates when they renew, but better to have them. They survived in bad times. They survive in good times. And I'm already catering to people that make between $30,000 and $80,000 a year. So, you know, you got to eat. You know, if we start talking about like Maslow's hierarchy and, you know, need number one is shelter, well, food's there too, right? So you're going to go to my grocer that spends around 40 cents a square foot to rent space for me. And he's got a 40,000 square foot grocery store. So you can go buy your 29 cents can of, I don't know, green beans. Right. But you can't go across town where, you know, the rents are $3 a square foot and sell something for 49 cents.
So do you see the A-class, you know, housing and A-class commercial developments? Do you see those are the ones that are going to get hit the hardest from the, you know, inevitable downturn? Who knows when it's going to happen?
Yeah, I guess I was just having a conversation with someone this morning, my trainer. He was telling me how he's getting ready to switch up from Class B to Class A.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually interesting phenomenon. He's switching up. He's going to spend a few $100s more a month in rent, but the amenities that they've included now, he's getting free cable, he's getting free parking, he's getting some amenities that he normally would spend a few $100s for. So I was surprised. He's getting a washer and dryer, a front loader thrown in with his apartment. So that's what they're doing right now in Class A. That has me a little worried because what does Class A have going for it? They're either going to attract people that are moving into the city, or they got to pull them from the Class B pool of people. So then it's a spiraling effect, right? So Class A starts pulling on Class B starts enticing Class C. But somewhere along the lines, Class C and D don't mix in a Class B. I don't know. Is that too technical?
No,
I
get it. Makes sense.
So I am seeing, I'm not saying I see the turn coming. I'm actually a believer that we just go sideways for a really long time. I think everything's jacked up and manipulated in a way where it's a tight trading range. You know, what are they going to do? Raise interest rates, lower interest rates, give away, you know, look, whatever you think about Trump, this is a real estate show, and we have, our president is a real estate developer.
Yeah.
He gets it. He gets it. And depreciation, that we could probably do a whole show on bonus depreciation and cost segregation and how valuable that is for your listeners to get ahead and cash flow more. We didn't talk a lot about cash flow, but geez, I mean, if you want to go through the evolution of real estate, the process, and you want to go from houses to apartments, apartments to warehouses, warehouses to storage, you know, stop off at a shopping center, go back to storage, go build a house. And I mean, you can sell all this stuff. You don't have to 1031 anymore. You can use bonus depreciation and just take your gains and, you know, whitewash them against your losses. I mean, there's so much to say about it. So powerful, depreciation in real estate. And it really, really affords people to get ahead, especially in states where there's no state income tax. Sky's the limit.
Okay, Jack, I'm moving back to Texas.
I get it.
We're not the only state, but, you know, we are. And, you know, and if you think about, too, and again, not getting political, think about the past few presidents we had, right? So what do we have, like 8 years of both Bushes? I can't remember. So, you know, the presidents kind of have a way of steering money towards their home states, don't they?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to run out of time, and I got to ask this question.
Final question.
I'm really curious. I just want to just for a minute talk about the mountaineering. How does a guy, you know, especially some New Yorker dude, you know, city guy, how do you end up climbing some of the tallest mountains in the world?
Jeez. So when I was in the commodity business, I was like chained to a desk. It was a team sport. We couldn't get up. We could hardly, I mean, It was the most unhealthy job you could ever have. You'd eat the most greasy, grimy food all the time because it made you feel good. And I always swore to myself, once I got out of that business, I'd start taking care of my body. And then I got involved in real estate. And I'm a true believer in marrying a financial goal with a physical goal and work them together. And I mean, there's spiritual too, but not enough time for all that. But if you take the physical and the financial, I got around 10, 15 real estate buddies. They call it, we're climbing the 7 summits of the world. I call it the 7 vacations. I'm a little older. I just want to have a good time and experience it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just work out every morning now. I work in the morning routine. I go through my plans in my head. And when we go away, we're just masterminding. We're having a great time. It's a bunch of guys. You can't really drink on a mountain because you have to worry about your oxygen levels. So
Yes.
what else do you do? I mean, I don't know what else to do with my life. So we just talk about real estate and we hike. And so far, we just got back a few months ago from Mount Elbrus, which is the highest mountain of all Eurasia. So we spent a month in Russia. Before that one, we went to Nepal and we hiked up to base camp. And we didn't go all the way. Base camp took like a month of our lives. Everest is a whole story as well, but that could take 3 or 4 months for acclimation. And I also Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. So it's fun going on these adventures. It's fun going away with your colleagues that are, real estate's a lonely life. Thank God for your podcast and YouTube, and we can communicate more with each other. So if you can mix, I highly recommend, if you only get one thing from this show, or with me on it, I should say, combine your financial goals with your physical goals, because it all starts to come together so much clearer, and you're thinking about it while you're working out. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm with you on the spiritual side too. And I know Jack too. I mean, and that's probably 5 other shows too. So,
right. But we get the cash flow from our businesses. I mean, if that's what you want, back to the gambling analogy, I mean, that's part of the problem. I mean, when you sell your property, you're selling the cash flow.
Yep.
So I was going to suggest, I spoke to a group of 500 people last night, create 2 pots, one flipping and one cash flowing. And maybe for every 3 cash flowing, go flip 1. So you get really comfortable, and then maybe that helps you move through the spectrum. But the cash flow gives you the financial freedom, and the financial freedom just affords you to do anything you want to do with your life. Every day you get to wake up and decide what it's going to be. It's awesome.
Yeah. Fantastic. So the $1 million question, or the magic question, and we like to sometimes put our guests on the spot.
Sure.
What is the question that we didn't ask you that we should have asked? Could be anything you want to talk about. Could be stuff we maybe should have touched on. Could be personal, whatever you want it to be.
I'm just asking myself, what's next? I believe every 5 years we reinvent ourselves. And I'm coming up to that 5-year period again in retail. And I'm asking myself, what's next? So is it mixed use? How interesting is that? Now you see these buildings. The first floor are retail. The second, third, fourth floors are office. And then it's apartments and condos. So, maybe I go vertical. I'm thinking that might be next for me. And another question you didn't ask me, if people want to hear more about these philosophies and these stories about running all over the world, this is my book, The Cash Flow Mindset. It's on Amazon. I read it. It's on Audible. And you can find me at Great Partners, gr8partners.com. We have a website there with all the projects and syndications we're involved with. I'm always looking for partners. I'm also looking to be partners in other deals, because everyone knows when you get a little older and more comfortable with real estate, you can't do it all. So you need friends and good deals all the time. And I can be reached. I give out my phone number. Send me a text, 713-503-5908.
Got it. And thank you for that. I was going to ask you anyway, but we'll make sure to put, the book, The Cash Flow Mindset, and your website, which is Great Partners, gr8partners.com, and your phone number will all go into the show notes for sure.
Okay.
So that resource is out there forever, anytime somebody listens to it. Well, so, this has been fantastic.
Awesome. Well, great too. I mean, you guys, turnkey. It can really, I mean, it's very valuable for people that feel like they can't afford it, in a sense that they can't afford to stop doing what they're doing for a living. So you're offering them an easier way to get involved in real estate, and people they should take you up on that, and hopefully they get to a point one day where they say to myself, wow, Checking and Jack are sending me all these checks, and it's not really taking any time, and I'm spending 50 hours a week working. Let me figure this out mathematically. It doesn't even pay for me to show up anymore for work. Let me just sit back and collect checks and spend more of my time doing the things that are going to create more money and a richer life.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're trying to do for our client
That's
base.
great. And I commend you for that. That's great.
Yeah, you said it well. And I want to say, look, I want to give you kudos, and not just for being a great guest and sharing so many insights, but honestly, dude, the story of the 9/11 and the tragedy. I mean, you lost a lot of people close to you, and being able to, I don't know, just sort of work through that, which I'm sure was probably one of the most difficult periods of your life.
Right. Yeah.
And to be able to come through that the way that you have, and the way that you have reinvented yourself and reassessed life and situation, it's a beautiful story. It really is.
Thank you.
I commend you for that.
Totally
so true.
concur.
Well said too. Yeah, for sure. Not everyone has to go through a life-death situation to wake up and get involved in something that's going to create passive income in your life. It doesn't have to be a tragedy like it was mine. So I only hope people heed your calling and get involved.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, thank you again. We really appreciate it. Jack, thank you as always for all the great questions and insights. And that's a wrap. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you like the show, by the way, don't forget to give us 5 stars on iTunes, or a nice review on any of the other platforms that you're listening on. And we'll be back with the next episode. Thanks a lot.
Thanks everybody. Thanks, Alan.